Welcome to another podcast of terror. That was me clearing my throat after chortling some balls. This show is a production of Galactic Netcast. I am your host, Matt Stein. With me, as always, is Corey Big Daddy Spork Scott. How are you, Corey?
I am unfortunately not chortling balls.
Fucker!
What?
I gotta stop. I forgot to fucking record your half the audio.
Oh, well, that's okay.
I totally could have not made a big deal out of it and just said, hey, start that part over and then edited it, but no.
No, that's fine.
All right, I gotta do my throat sound again. Please hold. Welcome to another podcast of terror, production of Galactic Netcasts. My mouth is dry from eating onions and chortling balls. I am your host, Matt Stein, and with me, as always, is Corey Big Daddy Spork Scott. Corey, how are you?
I like to go to Outback and get the Bloomin' Balls sack.
The Bloomin' Balls. Man, so you would chortle a Bloomin' Ball sack is what you're saying.
Well, it comes with a spicy sauce. Dressing, if you will. I don't know if it's au jus, but it's got to be.
If you play your cards right, it will be on you.
All right.
That was a lot of dick talk. Sorry.
But never enough.
Never enough. For more on this podcast, including show notes, contact information, subscription links, go to gncasts.com/pot. For other shows from Galactic Netcast, just go to gncasts.com without the pot. So maybe you're it's not illegal in your state, so you can't have pot, so you just go to the without the pot.
Yeah, you just send us information to the pot, right?
Yep.
Okay. Podcast of Terror is a bit spoiler heavy, so as we talk about our movie this week, we'll be talking about Strangeland from 1998. We will be talking very much about the ins and outs of the film. That's a prelude, if you want to use that word, which is not real. Nope. And the other thing is that we do, like we already have, we swear.
Yeah, Corey says we have a potty mouth. Collective Corey and I's mouth is one mouth here.
The potty mouth of terror.
Oh, fuck yeah. I like that.
I like it too, actually.
Like every week, we start off with a little bit of news. Kind of a light news week, so I only found like one good story that didn't make me want to hate bait. So I think it was today. I don't see a date on here. The new Pinhead was announced because they're making Hellraiser 10 Judgment. Some asshole who's not the normal guy. Doug Bradley is busy doing shit that's not a shitty another Hellraiser movie.
No, we talked about this. Doug Bradley was a little turked off because when the director of this film was going to send him the script, he sent him this NDA that was all this stuff like, don't talk about this in restrooms, don't accidentally fuck up and talk about it at conventions. And Bradley was like, you're sending me a script for Hellraiser 10. This is so low priority of anything that I should need to worry about, and I have to sign this fucking stupid ass contract and promise myself for $1 million to do it. And he's like, no, fuck that. I don't really care. So the other thing is that, as I understand it, Hellraiser 10, like the movie before it, these are things that are being put out by the company because they haven't gotten the relaunch together yet with Clive Barker himself and Doug Bradley, which is what they've been working on for a few years. Weinstein's keep pushing it back and pushing it back. So these are to keep the license.
Which I guess makes sense. There's a quote in here which I kind of liked, basically admitting that they will never be able to make another Hellraiser as great as the first two, which is good.
Yeah.
He also says that I'm referring to director Derry Tunnicliffe, but he said he's not even going to attempt to try and make a movie that good. They're just trying to give something new that still feels familiar, a little different, quote unquote. My air quotes, not his quotes, completely terrifying, and is a worthy part of the Hellraiser canon. And of course, blood. You get blood.
Lots and lots of blood.
I'm married. I see enough blood.
Mm-hmm. When you're not eating onions, you're eating pennies. No, I think it's okay. It's an interesting thing to say. We know it's not going to be as good as the first two. Well, try to make it good. You don't try not to copy it, try not to emulate it so much. And that's one thing that I appreciate from this is it's sounding like the person that they've chosen, who is not Ray Fiennes, like I mistakenly took them at their fucking hints at last time. It is an actor, Paul T. Taylor is playing the new lead Cenobite. It sounds like he's not necessarily going to be playing Pinhead, and that the Cenobites in this are going to be possibly different Cenobites. So they're exploring the Hellraiser themes, but not using the same characters, which would be smart. I think it's unforgivable to do a Hellraiser movie with Pinhead and not use Doug Bradley. So don't.
I agree. And every time you say Cenobites, I think of Cinnabons.
Yes.
I blame you for my desire for Cinnabons right now.
They are the entranceway into hell. That's why they're all located in the malls.
I thought that was a vagina.
No.
Not Cinnabons are vaginas. Vaginas are the entrance to hell.
Oh, I thought it was because they were toasted with tons of cinnamon and icing.
Well, that's what makes a Cinnabon delicious. I don't know where you get hell out of toasted, cinnamony, frosty, delicious.
I just know that that's how I'm going to get there. I'm going to die from Cinnabon inhalation.
I have 4 Cinnabons lodged in my heart. I died.
Man, Burger King had those mini Cinnabon things for a while. Those things were genius. They don't have that anymore.
Taco Bell had Cinnabon bites with the frosting in the middle.
Oh yeah, those are pretty good.
We should start a Cinnabon podcast.
We should.
Call it the Cinecast.
I think that's going to imply that we're talking about movies, and I don't think any podcast should exist where people talk about movies.
I would say Boncast, but then people might think we're talking about either like bonfires or bomb, and it's going to go nowhere good. How about the Cinnamon Cast? I don't know, whatever. We've spent entirely too much time on that.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah, new Cinnabons in the new movie. So have they never? They have not said that it's Pinhead. I mean, they say it's Pinhead, but it's not Pinhead.
The article kind of implies that it's not necessarily Pinhead, and a couple things I've read elsewhere.
That's fine, but then why is the title of the article "Meet Your New Pinhead"?
Because the new Hellraiser movie with Heather Langenkamp says it's found its new Pinhead, and you won't believe what happens. It's clickbait. It's a clickbait article. It's to get you to go, oh, okay, this guy's going to be the new Pinhead, but then maybe he's not going to be Pinhead. It says
if he's not going to be Pinhead, don't fucking call him Pinhead.
Yeah, it says Taylor will have a different look and or character for the new film.
So they haven't decided. Essentially, is what it is.
They are making it up on the fly. But in other Cenobite news, we shall see John Gulager as the assessor and Diane Goldner as the cleaner. So those might be other Cenobites as well, or maybe they're just, people who show up and do an infomercial in the middle of the movie.
Or one of them is the janitor.
That could be
the cleaner. Get it? See what I did there?
Yes.
Fuck you, Corey. Do you have
if we go back to Hellraiser 3, it would not surprise me if they had a Cenobite with just a big mop on his head.
I don't remember 3. All I remember from 5 is a weird guy going, "Why are we going to the basement?" That's all I remember from that one. And then 9 was just bad.
Yeah.
Pure garbage.
Pure garbage. Let's talk about this week's film.
Take that back. This is a good fucking movie.
Oh, really?
Well, it's like a good movie in like a bad way. I have a lot of problems with this movie. But I still find this movie to be very entertaining to me.
I like how the movie was so good that they do the whole storyline and then they start it up and they do the same goddamn storyline again, so you get the movie essentially twice. Because that's what happens.
Why are you harshing my mellow?
I'm not trying to harsh your mellow. I'm just trying to give you. I'm emphasizing that it's, if you like this,
so good,
good for you, because you're going to see it 2 times in a row in a span of about an hour and a half.
Okay, let's reel it in a little bit here. If you haven't seen this movie, lose an hour and 25 minutes or whatever and watch it. you have to understand this movie was 1998, so I probably watched in the early 2000s. I was in high school when I saw this. Every song on the soundtrack is what I listened to at that time. It was all like Soulfly, Seven Dust. I think Deftones are probably even on there. Um, this movie was the shit. It was right when I started getting tattooed, right when I started getting piercings. So it was like, it was such a badass movie. And back then, getting kidnapped and murdered on the internet wasn't so common.
Yes, when I was a child, I liked Little Orphan Annie, and I saw the movie and I listened to the soundtrack on an 8-track player over and over again. So that was my Strangeland. I had a little tattoo of Daddy Warbucks. No, I didn't. But
Uh,
I get it. I get it. You were a kid, and this is what you liked as a kid, and that's perfectly okay. The movie starts out essentially. First of all, it's 1998.
Yep.
So everything that happens in this, they have to explain to people.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going online, and this is what a chat room is. Well, how do you find out if that person's actually who they say they are? Everything I need to know is right here. So they're showing you stuff on the screen. First of all, trying to follow chatting in a chat room on a movie screen, especially from the early 90s, is not great filmmaking. It is not easy to see who's saying what because there's just like lines and lines of text, and you've got to pick out this is the stuff from Captain Howdy.
Well, even now, I mean, even if you read text on a screen now, it's still difficult. I mean, it's not easy.
Well, they would emulate it, and this was they had a chat program that they made for the film, but the chat stuff is still flying through. They would focus on the words, I think, a little bit better. So it's a filmmaker issue.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's two 15-year-old girls. One of them is explaining to the other one what a chat room is and does. And then later on, we get Amy Smart's character teaching her uncle about the internet and why it's cool to go online and chat with people and stuff. And then she has to teach him how to seduce Captain Howdy into getting them invited to his place. And it's kind of like, this is a problem that I had with the recent CSI Cyber, is that they try to talk about technology in a way to people that they assume have no idea what technology is. And it's like, it just makes it as completely stupid as possible. And I think if you give people credit, then they might be a little bit smarter, then you could do better storytelling.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind, this movie was written by and starred Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. Not saying that that's a bad thing or that he is inherently a shitty movie writer because he's in Twisted Sister. What I'm saying is he's not a movie writer. So there's you kind of had to expect it's going to suck a little bit. And it's his depiction of Captain Howdy / Carlton Hendricks is strange to me because he makes it seem like if you are a heavily tattooed and pierced person, you're some fucking philosopher. And everything you say is just so profound, and I'm smarter than you because I'm enlightened. I have had more piercings than I have now, and I'm heavily tattooed, and I'm fucking dumb. Like, I'm not a smart person. So that's wrong right there.
Well, I don't even know that he was necessarily a smart person. He was just he talked out his ass a lot. I don't know if you ever watched the series Smallville that was on the WB/CW for a number of years, but it was basically every time Clark was talking to anybody, all of a sudden Lex Luthor shows up and starts quoting some bullshit philosophy book that he read once, like Sun Tzu once said this, and it's like, first, dude, you just walked into a conversation from another room. Fuck off. Secondly, everything you're saying is just quotes. It doesn't mean you're smart. You're just saying bullshit to everybody. And that's what Dee Snider is in this. Dee Snider just basically sits there and says blah 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 with an authoritative voice, and it's okay. But at the same time, you've got catheters hooked up to people whose mouths and eyes you've sewn shut.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of don't think you have a lot of cred.
Well, it was either that they were trying to make him sound smart or like an outward thinker, or it was just to enhance the fact that he's a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, I think what he wanted to do is he wanted to introduce this kind of culture to the mainstream. That's what this movie seems like it was about for him. And I don't know how good of a job it did, because there is the point again where they find the friend's body when Lena Cardellini's character Genevieve gets kidnapped. She brings her friend Tiana with her, and they find Tiana's body in her car with a Mean People Suck air freshener in it. And then they walk off. The two cops walk off, and the truck driver who says, he's like, "What do you think? I am just an ambulance chaser? Let me tell you about what this piercing thing is that you just found, and all about the culture of tattoos, and the ink people are the..." What the fuck did he even say? I couldn't even understand him, like with what he was trying to bring across. It's like, we have control of our own bodies, man, and that makes us righteous. And I drive a truck.
I drive a truck because I can. I'm going to see if I can find the speech on IMDb. Yeah, that part was weird to me. I think like younger me was like, yeah, it's so badass. Like when I started stretching my ears and stuff, and now it's like, you make us sound dumb. Where it's like, yeah, this piercing is limited with a 14 gauge needle. And he goes, this is an 8. Who the fuck cares, man? That thing, yeah, like, just say that's a piercing that goes through your nose. Look how fucking big it is and how big the hole would have to be. End of story. You don't need to go in great detail to explain to everyone the gauge sizes of earrings.
And to, again, just random guy who happens to be at the crime scene because he's helping tow the car out, inserts himself in a conversation to explain what the cops need to know that they'll never be able to find out for themselves in this. There's almost no detective work in this. That's the other thing, is that the girl's dad who gets kidnapped is not good at being a father or a cop, and keeps like stumbling into finding where Hendrix is.
Yeah, like the voice message thing. Apparently, he has internet in his car.
Yeah, he has wireless internet on a laptop from 1996 in his car, which I thought was brilliant as well.
Yeah.
And nobody had to sit there and tell him. Now, the way that Wi-Fi works is when you're driving around in fucking town, you don't have internet. But when you're sitting outside somebody's house who has Wi-Fi, maybe you can get onto it, because there was no encryption back then. And then you could maybe do something if you have a Wi-Fi card in your laptop, which this obviously does not. I don't even think that piece of shit had a CD-ROM.
No, but Wi-Fi wasn't really a thing.
Right.
Like, residential Wi-Fi was not a thing in 1998. I don't even really know if residential broadband was a thing in 1998.
I don't even know if these guys had cell phones in this movie, let alone something that they could hook up to use the network signal. So yeah, there's all these moments of like, we're going to explain to you how this stuff works so that you can understand the reality of how it is in the real world and see how we apply it in the movie. And then here's this one big thing that we're just going to skip over, that big giant hole in the plot.
Yeah. That kind of sums up the movie. Unfortunately, I still really like this movie.
I know you do. I absolutely know you do.
But don't ask why. I don't know why I think this movie is so good, because it's not good.
All right, so
it doesn't have Linda Tortellini in it, and I would oof.
And Amy Smart, who is equally always wonderful. Yeah. And fortunately is only there as a smart person to teach the cops how to rescue her cousin. And but again, so the cop goes and magically, after all the cops almost shooting and giving a guy a heart attack in his bed, some old grandpa dude who's having sex with his wife.
One of the funniest parts of any movie I've ever seen in the history of the world.
They all take off, and he's just sitting there playing in the laptop, and randomly the house next door, because he hears a dog barking, because Captain Howdy decides to send sound messages instead of typing in the chat thing now. He's like, I can't philosophize just with my fingers. I got to use my mouth. He listens to it, and then he hears a dog barking that's actually right next to him. He's like, oh, that dog's not barking now, but it sounds like the same bark. I'm going to go into this house by myself.
So during that scene, Alyssa was around, and I said, I'm pretty sure if that happened nowadays, that cop would get arrested or he would get charged with breaking and entering.
I mean, it was. I'm sure that he called it in on his magic internet phone that
I'm
didn't
sure.
exist,
I'm sure.
but he didn't wait for anybody. And yes, if you've got suspicion, then it's not necessarily breaking and entering. But he does go into this house, looks around, finds his daughter, pays no attention to the fact that the guy was just sending him messages from there. So he gets snuck up on from behind, shoots him in the leg. It saves his kid and saves all these other random people. We magically jump 4 years later in the span of about 30 seconds. Dee Snider is now a nice guy because he's taking medication, because that's how it works. And he puts all this makeup over his tattoos, and I don't remember any holes in his face where all the piercings would be.
That bothered me too, because I've taken piercings out. They definitely close.
Yeah. So Dee Snider leaves the insane asylum. He gets to go back to the house where he tortured people before. That's where he lives.
Somehow he didn't lose that in any of the court battles.
Right. And this is what we want to do, is we want to send you back to the house that is all filled up with the paraphernalia that I guess we didn't confiscate as the police, and has all the graffiti and shit on the walls. And this is good for your mental health. Some newswoman is there like, hey, police officer, remember when this guy like captured and raped and tortured your daughter for a little bit? How do you feel about that? Not very good. And Robert Englund randomly is there and says, we should kill this guy.
I really like Robert Englund in this movie as a dirty man. Something I did want to point out is, do you think that in the span of Captain Howdy's reign of terror that he chortled any balls?
I'm sure that he tasted of onion.
Okay, probably. They go hand in hand. Yeah, another scene that I really enjoy, and I keep in mind I watched this a lot in high school with some friends. So a common joke that we refer to is the scene in after Captain Howdy comes back. He's off his pills, and he's dancing around with Robert Englund's wife.
Yeah,
Robert Englund's sitting in the chair, like pumping his arms, going, "Oh, I'm so hot." So fucking good. And I don't even know why it's like weird and disgusting. And he's like watching some dirty porno. He's yelling at his wife, "Oh, come in here, I'm losing my heart on." Like, I don't know why, but
let's back up for a second, because Robert Englund's character is talking to his wife. His daughter is out somewhere, or her daughter is out somewhere, and he's like, she's probably fucking some football player. And then he decides instead, oh, you know what? She's probably been kidnapped by Captain Howdy. We should get a lynching together and go find this guy and kill him. So they do. They go out, they find him, they string him up to a tree in the rain, hang him, leave him there. And of course, the branch snaps and he falls down and immediately goes from being on his medication, which makes him normal, to Captain Howdy's here again. And the rain doesn't wash the makeup off that was covering all the tattoos for some reason. Later on, he's got them all again.
You got the water resistant kind.
Yeah,
yeah, you know what?
Cover right. Girl. So then Robert Englund goes back to his house to have sex with his wife and ignores the fact that his daughter still hasn't come back home.
Yeah, but that's a natural progression. You murder a man, you gotta
now I got wood I gotta work off.
I gotta fuck. Yeah, there's a lot of like jumping around, I guess, of ideas. The timeline is consistent, but like you said, Robert Englund jumps to this weird conclusion that his daughter is being tortured by Captain Howdy just because he's out now and she's not home, when she's clearly banging some football player in a hotel. And I've never once seen someone fall asleep that fast after sex. I don't know if I should be proud of that guy or a little sad for him.
I have no comment. But and that whole scene was just to show that she was out and safe. But
which
again,
stupid. Why even?
Because he never addresses it again. It's like, we went and killed this. I got a whole group of people together to kill this guy on the assumption that he kidnapped my daughter. and then I don't give a fuck if I ever see my daughter again, and apparently neither do they. And so then Captain Howdy goes, kidnaps a bunch of them, including the what was her name, Catherine Sunny McIntosh, who
Yeah.
was cursing at him at his house and stuff like that. Oh, got to get her too. And then decides to go back after Genevieve again and kidnaps Genevieve all over again, which again shows that Mike Gage is the worst dad and the worst cop in all of existence.
Yeah, he sucks pretty bad, but at least there was like a reason. Like they touch base on why Captain Howdy got Genevieve again, because Mike Gage ignores, he sees the lynch mob take Captain Howdy out of his house and he just ignores it.
Yeah.
So there's at least like context to it. There's a reason that it
There's
happened.
a reason why he's like, this is your fault. What? And his wife, played by the late Elizabeth Pena, is like, what did you do? And I don't even think he tells her exactly what he did. He's just like,
No.
I fucked up.
Yeah, it's implied.
Yeah, their whole relationship is just, why is she with this dude? Because when her daughter's missing, he's just not emotionally like, I can't really get into it because I got to keep myself for distance from this case. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Why are you doing anything? You really don't do anything. The case gets broken by your niece, who's not a cop at all. Your partner, who keeps saying, I'm going to go get this guy, man. I'm going to fucking put a bullet in his head. Never does a goddamn thing. Just like sits there and pisses on the IT person who's trying to help them with the computer to find the daughter in the first place. And then later on, he's like, no, we got to go get him. And then when he finds out the Gage actually goes to the church to get Captain Howdy, he's breaking in there. He's like, come on, we got to get out of here. I still didn't do shit. Yeah.
So the end of this movie is a whole nother problem to me. Like, just, it's stupid. It's stupid and it's pointless. And the first thing I noticed when he's swinging back and forth on fire is that the whatever is swinging and on fire is clearly wearing like a burn suit.
Yeah.
Like you could see it clear as day. But we just recently talked, I don't even know what episode it was, how close, a couple episodes ago, but they announced a second one finally, which they've been trying to do forever. How is he not dead? He's dead.
Well, just the same way. He was hanging and he was set on fire. But we know that anytime he's hanging, he's perfectly all right. Because when he was on the verge of death, when he was hanging himself, he was pissed off the guy who let him down because he was almost there, which I assume means he was about to ejaculate. And then when they basically kill him by hanging him in the storm, and he's done, he's not twitching or anything, and they all walk away at their own pace. He falls down a second later. I assume they must have been far enough away that they couldn't hear it, so it must have been some time not displayed on the film, and he magically comes back to life from that. So anytime you hang this guy, he's just going to come back. It's his recharge.
But he was set on fire, so he better at least be.
But he was still hanging. It's like the Ensure energy drink of fucking Strangeland. It's like, oh, I feel great now. I just hung from a chain in the ceiling.
I mean, whatever. What I'm saying is, if they make a second one, it takes place in the future of this movie. He better have a shitload of burn scars.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that his look in this movie with all the tattoos and the piercings and everything is such a, like you said, it was in 1998 or 2000 when you were watching it. It was a big deal to you. It was kind of like this opened your eyes to a lot of things and got you started on some different stuff. But it is very much a product of that time. Mm-hmm. So what's he going to look like to make himself seem terrifying? Because you see this guy now and it's, oh, that's nothing. It's like a guy who's tattooed his entire body to look like just one giant tattoo mat, or the woman who tattooed her face to look like a cat. Mm-hmm. That's not impressive anymore. So they've got to do something else to make him, take him to the next level.
Take it to the limit.
One more time.
Take it to the limit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Do you want to anything else you want to bitch about in this movie? Otherwise, we can move on to the new ranking system.
I don't know. The computers were really, they didn't advance in the 4 years at all between.
No. You consider how technology changed from 1998 to 2002, and apparently not in this movie.
Yeah.
Get your shit together, Dee Snider.
I still love the fact that here's just a random computer that I set up on your desk that I can talk to you through with great clarity that I didn't even have to connect to the dial-up for.
Well, you don't know that. Maybe he's just sitting, taking up their phone line for like hours.
Yeah, that's well. Wasn't he trying to call his house to get through to her? Was he getting a busy signal?
I don't remember if it was a busy signal or it just like did that fast dial.
Yeah.
Well, if he had call waiting, it would still dial even if you're connected to the internet.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's so weird that 16, 18 years ago, I I can't even remember the place the technology was. I know I was still getting AOL discs in the mail.
Fucking AOL. Good times.
Fucking AOL.
Yeah, let's move on to the rankings. So, trying something new this week, moving forward, instead of just giving a movie a 1 through 5 ranking, which Corey and I generally argue about because we're completely different, we broke it up into a few categories. I was trying to think of a fun name for it, spent 5 whole minutes trying to think of a name, and gave up because I'm lazy. So we're going to do the rewatchability of a movie, the story of a movie, and I guess the scariness, since that's kind of the whole reason we're here. So I'll let you start with rewatchability 1 through 5.
Well, this is my second time seeing this movie because I saw it in around 99 or 2000 when I was first dating my now wife at her parents' place of all things. So I've seen the movie twice. I feel like I've seen it 4 times because it repeats the plot halfway through. So I'll give it a 2 on rewatchability.
So I guess the better question would be, if I didn't make you watch this, would you have ever watched this movie again?
I might have out of curiosity. I will say that the only reason why I realized that it was on Comcast is because my wife had just watched it about a month ago on her own. So it probably would have popped up at some point.
Fair enough. Makes sense.
And I've definitely been curious. It's got a great cover. When you look at the movie poster with Linda Cardellini's character with the mouth sewn shut and him kind of standing behind her, that it is a draw. But they also go to that trope multiple times in this, and that's pretty much all there is to him with these people that he's captured and torturing. In fact, the only reason why the Tiana friend character dies is because she has a heart defect.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I just watched this movie and I forgot about that.
Yeah, he murders England's character's wife as he's kidnapping him, but all the people that he brings down to his little cell, it doesn't seem like he's trying to kill them. He's trying to send them on this same kind of journey that he's on, the journey of pain and torture and the beauty of tattooing, and
which is weird to me, but
it is weird.
Yeah, it's super weird, but I guess he's crazy. I even like this movie, and I guess I would go 3.5. I really have to be in the mood to watch it. I probably haven't watched this movie in 3-4 years, maybe more.
But you were just so excited to see it again, though, which is...
I really was, because of what the movie reminds me of. So yeah, I'll go 3.5, just because it's not something I'm going to beat down the door to watch. But if I talk about it enough and I think about it, I'm definitely down to watch it.
Yeah.
Story 1 through 5.
I gotta go 1. The story just it didn't delve into things in a way that I think what it promised to, and it just went for the cheapest moments, including times where he's basically ripping off lines from other Robert Englund movies, like from Nightmare on Elm Street movies. When he falls down from the tree and he gets up, he says "What a rush" in a very Freddy Krueger like way. From Dream Warriors, he says something about "In your dreams you die" or something, and it all feels very evocative of that. It didn't have any originality besides the idea of the character who enjoys this subculture.
I disagree with every word that just came out of your mouth. I'm just it's hard to think about what I would consider, the originality of the story now, you know, 18 years after it came out. I would say in 1998, the Captain Howdy character is a good callback to a classic Exorcist movie,
which they never
talk about.
talk
but
about.
Still, if you watch horror movies, that just the concept of being kidnapped after talking to someone, chatting with someone online was still pretty new then. So I guess it's a pretty original concept for the time. But you run into all the things where, you pointed out, where it's like the character, Captain Howdy, seems kind of cool and kind of original, but a lot of the way he acts and all the things that people do just seem like they're ripped from other movies. I'm going to go 2.5. Mediocre. Not complete shit, in my opinion, but definitely not great.
I mean, this is now a plot of a lot of Lifetime movies, except
Yes.
They're talking about meeting people on Facebook or meeting people on Craigslist, the Craigslist killer, all those things. This may have been very early in that kind of story, and so yeah, I can see that. I still just didn't really get it. Plus, the amount of love and effort that Snyder put into this movie, so much though that he's been obsessing over the sequel and trying to get it made for years as well. I'm just, really, that's your life's work, we're not going to take it. I want to rock.
Just saying random.
Is there a pledge pin?
Thinking about, you're talking about how, I'm going to get off topic a little bit here, but talking about how you think that, Dee Snider, this is his magnum opus, if you will. This movie the budget was $1.1 million and the box office made $713,000.
Yeah.
So like, he's definitely doesn't want to redo this because it's going to make him money. I don't even know if this movie really like hit cult status or anything after the fact on DVD afterwards, but he clearly loves the characters and the idea. So he's not doing this because he's going to make money. So
he's a horror fan. He's definitely a horror fan. He's been associated with Fangoria magazine and Fangoria's radio shows for a long time. I mean, this is obviously it is a labor of love for him, not a, this is where I'm going to strike it big. He's already struck it big, so now he gets to do the stuff that he wants to do. But when you compare him to a Rob Zombie, who is also the musician who suddenly started making horror movies, Zombie looks like a fucking auteur comparatively.
Yeah. Rob Zombie's kind of different, a little different, but I don't even think I need to ask you your thought on the last one. Scariness.
I was worried I was going to see his penis.
That would have probably been the scariest thing, seeing someone's dong in this.
Seeing specifically his, or Robert Englund's. There was a moment where I was kind of afraid that we were going to see Freddy's Krueger.
Freddy's Krueger. Oh God, that's awesome. You know what? I actually feel like we should put the scale should be a 0 to 5 because we're changing it to 0. Scariness is down. I don't think this is scary at all.
It is not scary. I mean, even at this point, we take for granted the fact that all the points where he's putting hooks into people. We had already seen that in Hellraiser, years before, over a decade before. So it wasn't incredibly impressive. The part where he's got Linda Cardellini's character in the sort of closet with the hooks going all up everywhere, that looked more evocative to a scene from Red Dragon, which I don't think had been remade at that point, but it seemed something straight out of Silence of the Lambs in the way that it was done, or the original version Manhunter. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Manhunter, actually.
It's a good movie. So
I can't say that even the torture aspect was all that scary or skeevy. It was just kind of there. It was an excuse for his character to get arrested and be hated, and then do the same thing again.
a means to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah.
Of
And
course.
if you have a favorite movie that you have enjoyed from your youth that you want to see if it holds up, let us know. You can contact us by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966, or you can email us at pot@gncast.com, or you can leave a message on our website, gncast.com. You can also follow us on the Twitter or the Instagram at Podcast of Terror, and also subscribe to this podcast and the rest of our shows via iTunes, Stitcher, or the favorite podcatcher of your choice. You can leave us feedback on any of those. All subscription options and links can be found under the subscribe tab at gncast.com. Finally, you can join us on our Facebook page under Galactic Netcasts.
Yeah. Where can people find you on the internet, Corey?
I have put together the don'taskcomics.com site a little bit more. I write a comic called Balyar with my friend Levi Krause, but we just started releasing his original comic series from also the mid to early 90s, circa 1995, Levi's World. So if you go to levisworld.don'taskcomics.com, you can see the blogs that I post in relation to the comic there, and there are links to all the other stuff that we're doing with the site. So that's probably where I'm going to be hanging out for a while.
Done. You can find me Twitter, Instagram at Matt the Lifeguard, and yeah, that's it. Sometimes I post pictures.
Of you gargling onion balls.
Chortling balls. You balls.
Next week on the Podcast of Terror.
I'm making you talk about this. You picked this fucking movie.
Next week we're going to be watching
Panty Raid is about.
Yeah. Yes, next week we're watching Panty Raid. It's just going to be the scene from Revenge of the Nerds over and over again. Actually, we're going to watch a movie that my wife had gotten me to sit down and watch with her the other day. She rewatched it 3 times in about a 24-hour period. It's called Pontypool, and it is available on Netflix streaming if you want to watch it and join in the discussion with us. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. I really liked it, but I can't describe it at all. So you kind of have to see it for yourself. But then next week, I'm going to try to describe it anyways and totally backhand what I just fucking said.
Yeah, you've been after me to watch this for a while, so I'm glad we're finally able to accommodate. It'll be interesting, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see what you think. It should be interesting for discussion at least.
Yes, I'm sure it will be. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks again for listening to another podcast here, and we will catch you guys next week.
Stay scary, everybody.
All right.